I told you yesterday on the broadcast that we're going to take a look at this list that we find in Colossians chapter 3, verse number 5. The Apostle Paul says, mortify your members, which simply means to discipline, crucify the flesh. In other words, not allowing the flesh to rise up and dictate, but bringing it under control, discipline. And then he gives us this list of sin, and it begins with the word fornication, which simply is this: having sexual relations with somebody who you're not married to. That's very simple. And of course, I've come to recognize this even in my lifetime, to where the mindset in humanity has changed dramatically. People live together, they're not married, and everything seems to be fine. And this is even entered into the church. You have people who they go to church every day, they call themselves Christians, but yet living in this sin that's on the list. And then the second one is uncleanliness. And I had a little problem trying to figure out exactly what that meant. And then I thought about when Jesus was talking about the disciples, and he said that you're not all clean. And he was talking about Judas. And he said, well, what's going on with Judas? Well, Judas was a person with evil intent in his heart. He was a person of deception, and he was a liar and a thief. And so you put all those things together, and yeah, that would classify and qualify as sin. Inordinate affection, which is simply this: unrestrained, immoderate passion. And of course, we're going back to the same thing. We have these type of relationships with people that you're married to. Evil concupiscence, and this simply means any immoderate desire or lust. And Jesus said, if you lust after somebody, then you've committed adultery. That's his words, not mine. But I'll use them because that's just the way Scripture tells that it is. Number 5 is covetousness, and he said this, simply this, it's a footnote, which is idolatry. And idolatry is simply anything that you make a god that's not God. And of course, just look around. And in our lives, we get so caught up with our things and things that are shiny, and we love things that are shiny. And oftentimes, we'll commit our whole existence to these things. But let me give you one other list. And this is what John tells us in the Epistle of John. He said, all that's in the world, the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And basically what you'll find, that all of these things in Paul's list here will all fit under that classification. Every sin fits under that classification. The lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, the pride of life. Brings us back to the question. It said, if we're just under grace and there are no consequences for the sin, then why even bother identifying what sin is? Well, it's simply this. Scripture tells us we have to deal with the issue of sin. Jesus Christ made provision for us to forgive or to receive forgiveness for our sin, but we have to ask, and if we don't ask, it's not going to happen. Which brings us to communication. We have to talk to God. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.